The materials inside are completely stable. The child is exposed to zero risk while handling the mineral samples, provided they remain sealed. This was written inside a dark medical record from 1951. But it wasn't from a military base or a secret chemical lab. It was a manual for a Christmas toy. In 1950, right when the Cold War was getting warm, a respected old man walked onto the stage of a massive American toy fair. He was holding a heavy wooden box that contained real, raw, radioactive uranium. And he expected 8-year-old kids to play with it inside their small, closed bedrooms. The craziest part? The newspapers didn't panic. They called it a masterpiece of modern education. In fact, the media praised it as a vital tool to prepare the next generation for the atomic century. So, how did the most dangerous element on Earth become a bedtime toy? And what actually happened to the kids who opened that box? The answer lies buried under decades of corporate silence.
Some mysteries were never meant to be solved, but tonight, we uncover them. Welcome to MT Mystery.
We are now in New Haven, Connecticut. Here, in the middle of the 20th century, lived a guy named Alfred Gilbert. Gilbert was an Olympic gold medalist, a famous inventor, and a man trusted blindly by millions of parents. But back then, the world was drowning in a strange cultural obsession called Atomic Utopianism. Governments were convincing the public that nuclear energy was a peaceful, magical friend. They said it would power everything from family cars to entire clean cities, promising an era where electricity would be too cheap to even meter. Gilbert had a thought. If the future belongs to nuclear science, why not let children practice building their own reactors right now? He believed that real science required real, dangerous materials. That is exactly how the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab was born. This thing wasn't a cheap plastic imitation. It was a fully functional, highly dangerous laboratory inside a wooden case. When a kid unwrapped it, they found 4 glass vials filled with real uranium ore, alongside 3 other radiation sources emitting lethal alpha, beta, and gamma particles. But the kit also included a real, ticking Geiger counter to measure radiation levels, and a device called a cloud chamber. This device allowed an 8-year-old child to sit in the dark and actually watch faint, ghostly white mist trails left behind by radioactive particles flying through the air at terrifying speeds, right in front of their eyes. It was a hypnotic, microscopic dance of subatomic destruction operating right on the child's desk. Gilbert knew exactly how to capture young minds. He placed comic strips inside the manual featuring famous cartoon characters of that era, like Dagwood Bumstead, showing kids how they could take their Geiger counters outside to hunt for uranium in their backyards or behind the kitchen walls. The front cover stated in bold text that it was completely safe and enthusiastically approved by the country's top scientists. Parents at the time had no idea. They spent nearly $50 on it, which is over $600 today, just to bring a silent, invisible killer into their homes and hand it to their children with a light heart. They thought they were buying their children a prosperous future, but instead, they purchased a ticket to a slow, radioactive nightmare. But the real horror of this toy didn't lie in the uranium sitting sealed inside the glass. It was the complete absence of any safety gear or warnings. Kids handled these radioactive rocks with their bare hands. No gloves, no masks, nothing. There are old stories from back then of curious kids crushing the rocks with tools or breaking the vials just to see what would happen. When they did, microscopic invisible uranium dust filled the bedroom air. The moment a kid breathed that dust in, the catastrophe became permanent. The radiation settled inside their lungs and stomach forever, launching a quiet, daily bombardment against their living cells. There was no pain at first, no sudden sickness to ring the alarm bells, but the child's body essentially became a miniature nuclear reactor, destroying itself from the inside out at a cellular level. This madness did not last long. By late 1951, whispering medical reports began raising serious red flags about what radiation does to children's developing bones and tissues. But at the same time, the product faced a disastrous commercial failure. The company sold fewer than 5,000 kits worldwide. This wasn't because parents suddenly realized the nuclear danger, but simply because the toy was too expensive. Only exceptionally wealthy families could afford it. Because of this, the Gilbert company quietly pulled the toy from the shelves, erased its advertisements, and acted like it never existed at all. No recalls were ever made, leaving thousands of toxic boxes circulating in American homes. Today, decades later, those factories are gone, and that terrifying box has transformed into one of the rarest, most sought-after artifacts for collectors of weird history. An intact kit can fetch over $8,000 at high-end auctions. Two completely different viewpoints exist on this today. The corporate view says the low-level ore was technically too weak to cause immediate sickness, but the historical reality is much darker. It stands as a living witness to a bizarre time when human ignorance and corporate greed got so out of hand that we let children play with atomic bomb fuel in their bedrooms, sitting quietly to watch destruction dance right in front of them on a warm winter night. The question remains, how many more hidden silent poisons are we handing to our children today under the guise of progress? Thankfully, watching this channel is 100% stable, certified safe by top scientists, and carries absolutely zero risk of cellular mutation. So hit that subscribe button now, before our next video starts radiating your screen.